Welcome to episode 4 of CrystalCast, where we go behind the headlines and we take a more in-depth look at the specialist finance industry. Today we're joined by Mark Posniak from Octane Capital, telling us a little bit more about what exactly third gen means and his views on the market and the opportunities that brokers should be focusing on. And as always, all the information provided is for the use of financial intermediaries only. Today we're joined by Mark Posniak, Managing Director of Octane Capital. Good afternoon, Mark.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, excellent, thank you. To start us off in our traditional way, can you give us 3 surprising things about you?
Okay, 3 surprising things about me. I've lived in three separate countries. So I brought up in South Africa, moved to Australia when I was 18.
Wow.
And I came here when I was 25. That's the first thing. So I've lived in 3 separate countries. Second surprising thing, when I came here, I intended to stay for maybe 6 months, maybe 12. Met my wife while I was here playing cricket as an overseas professional, and that was 19 years ago.
Wow.
And I haven't gone back since. The third surprising thing that people probably don't know about me, or they might because I do post quite a bit, but I've got a lovely wife and 2 beautiful children, a little boy who is 9 and a little girl who is 5.
Brilliant, thank you. You say overseas professional at cricket?
Yeah.
So quite sporty then?
Well, listen, anything with a ball I'm all right at. I wouldn't say football. Football's definitely the lowest on the thing. But cricket and golf are my 2 real sports. I don't play cricket anymore, but I now play golf instead, which is much more fun, and that's actually much better from a work perspective because a lot of deals get done on a golf course.
Very much so. And we're very much looking forward to joining you at the Octane Cup in a few weeks as well.
Yeah, no, we're very much looking forward to that.
Brilliant. Right, so moving on to the serious topics, can you tell us a little bit more about third gen?
Sure. So when we launched Octane, what we did is obviously we came from our background where we started Dragonfly, and we built this beast of a lender. So when we started Dragonfly, we were in the height of the crunch. Nobody else was lending, and we tried to do something different then. And when I say we tried to do something different then, it was different to what we define as the first generation of bridging. And the first generation of bridging was the old Lancashire Mortgages, Blemane, Affirmative Finance, Chevelle, Link Lending days, where it was a little bit lender of last resort, a little bit back of a fag packet, but very entrepreneurial. And basically it was all about loan to value, and away you went. When we launched Dragonfly, what we did was we tried to professionalize it a little bit more, and it became a lot more formulaic. So we had a number of set defined parameters and products, which we define now as what we defined was the second generation of bridging. So very professional, very transparent, but very easy to replicate. So when we and we saw it actually from all the competitors who basically said, oh, that's a nice little product matrix, and we'll take that and we'll shave a little bit off the price here and we'll shave a little bit off the price there, and we'll tweak the loan to value here and tweak the loan to value there, and all of a sudden it's very easy to replicate, very easy to copy. So when we decided to leave Dragonfly and start again in an incredibly saturated market, what we thought was, you know what, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to launch with no products at all, with a bespoke approach to underwriting, with a completely blank canvas, and call this the third generation of bridging, which brings together the best bits from the first generation, which was the highly entrepreneurial flair and the ability to structure transactions that work, coupled with the professionalism and the transparency of the second generation, into this completely bespoke, blank canvas, the world is your oyster, putting the broker and the client in control in the third generation of bridging. Much harder to replicate. You have to have the skill set and the expertise and the team to be able to do it, which thank goodness within Octane Capital we do. And who would have thought that, sitting here 24 months on since when we launched, that we would have lent 400 odd million pounds, have a loan book of around 200 million pounds, have a team of 22. It's been an incredible journey, and one that I'm so thankful that we made.
So that's quite interesting then, because you mentioned the market is relatively, or very saturated, and Octane are a relatively new entrant into that. Do you think it's the team that you've got there that's been the key to this success?
100%. Yeah, we although obviously Jonathan, Matt and myself have been together a long time, what makes Octane tick is the engine room behind the three of us. It's the credit room. It's the fact we went and hand-picked what we believe is the top credit professionals and the top sales professionals across the industry to try and make sure that we're able to deliver on that third gen promise, which is having no product, being able to structure every transaction and trying to pay out each deal. When you look at the team, so we went and took Gemma Salusti, who was the underwriting manager at Masthaven, Jamie Oxley, who was the underwriting manager at Wellesley Finance. We've got Dan Tyson, who's at Shawbrook, Nikki Pack, who was at Alternative Bridging, and before that, Fortwell. We've got Graham McCauley, who, when Matt left Octopus, became the head of credit at Octopus. We went and hand-picked fantastic people who had service built into them in their core, but coupled with that, had huge experience. So if you look outside of Jonathan, Matt, and myself from a credit perspective, between the three of us, we had done more than 4,000 transactions and more than 2.5 billion together before. You then look at Gemma's experience, Dan's experience, Jamie's experience, Donna Louise Howes, who joined us from Leninvest, and before that Falcon as well, and Shawbrook. We've got just a wealth of people who've seen it all before, done it all before, have the scars, and are able to navigate through the obstacles that appear in specialist finance. And there are always obstacles when you're looking to complete loans. And it's the ability to say, there's a problem, how do we get through it? Or there's a problem, what's the solution? As opposed to, there's a problem. So from a credit perspective, I genuinely believe, and I'm sure everybody says the same thing, that they've got great people, but I genuinely believe, and it's not an arrogance thing, that we have the strongest team in the industry, bar none, with the experience to pay deals out. And that also is replicated on the front end when we look at our origination team. So we've got a team of 6 external BDMs supported by 3 internal BDMs in the office. Again, these guys have done it all before. They know how to structure a transaction as opposed to deliver a piece of paper saying, here's my products. Because anybody can deliver a piece of paper and saying, send as much stuff into the office and clog the engine room up. Our guys say, let's discuss the deal. How do we make it work? If it doesn't quite fit criteria or appetite, how do we shape it and mold it so that it does?
And how did brokers react when you launched with no products?
So initially they were taken back. They were I'm not sure how this is going to work. How do we know whether you like it or you're not? And it was an education piece. So we went out and saw them, and we got in our cars and we got in the tube and we went and banged down the doors. And thank goodness, because of the history and the reputation that we had, the doors were opened. And people tried us and realized that, you know what, this is wonderful. Wonderful in a couple of aspects. Number one, we put the brokers in control. So the way we price a deal is we say to the introducer, what are you looking to earn out of the transaction, and what is the client looking to pay? And within those parameters, we try and make the deal work. And if a broker, for example, if it's a packager and they have a broker to pay, and we've got to pay more of the fee away, we can structure the deal to work that way for them. If it's a direct relationship and a broker says, you know what, this is all about bottom line price to my client, I need to reduce the interest rate, they can give up some of that fee and we can drop the interest rate. And having that flexibility and those levers to be able to strike a deal that works for all 3 parties, and by all 3 parties I mean the borrower first and foremost, the broker and the lender, it's a wonderful way to work.
Your products obviously span bridging, they span short term and medium term as well. So do you still consider yourself as a bridging lender?
We're a specialist lender. Yes, we do bridging, but we do developer exits, we do non-standard buy-to-lets, we do refurbishments, we do commercial short-term funding. You can pigeonhole us as a bridger, or you can pigeonhole us as a specialist lender, but we're a solution provider. So we help brokers and packagers and networks and anybody else for that matter navigate through the obstacles that stand in the way of a borrower getting funds to either complete a project, to sell a property, or to tweak it.
And congratulations, by the way, on being nominated and actually being a finalist at the British Specialist Lending Awards.
Thank you very much. It's funny, that's the first time we've ever put ourselves up for an individual award, and we're not an individual based company. Mm-hmm. We've always been more about the team, and even though I am up, I genuinely feel that that's a team award. I would never have been nominated, I would never have been shortlisted if it wasn't for that engine room behind me. And that engine room is everybody in our business, from our specialist finance team to the credit team to the sales team to everybody. We're a unit, we operate as a whole. So although it's my name in lights, I genuinely believe it should be Octane Capitals.
You put a post recently on LinkedIn about completions. It always seems the way in the industry that the first few weeks of the month are quiet, and then suddenly there's a huge rush at the end of the month or the end of the quarter. Did you get any interesting insight on that still?
That's funny. I think everybody knows what it is, and they just don't want to say it. And it is brokers with targets, it's lenders with targets, it's clients who set unrealistic deadlines of, okay, it's got to happen by the end of the month. But if that is the case, I don't understand why everybody leaves all those last bits to the last minute. I mean, if I tell you the number of undertakings in on Monday of this week, which said, can we please complete on Friday? And it's like, you already were banking up, 10 to 15 deals to complete in the week. And then all of a sudden you got 5 to 10 more, which become urgent. And then you're now rushing around like headless chickens because you've got 9 credit managers all working through pipelines, trying to be as proactive as possible, while then having to be reactive to these new ones. And it's the same every month. And I just don't understand it. I mean, if we had months that started from the 15th till the 15th, it'd be amazing. I genuinely would, because then you could structure them and stagger them and everything else. And with all the will in the world and all the best planning in the world, there's nothing you can do about it. It's been like that in the 15 odd years that I've been doing it. And I think it'll be for the next 15 years moving forward as well. So I think it's down to targets. I think it's down to seasonality as well, because there's certain seasons where you see increased activity as well. But I wish I had a magic ball to tweak when completions happen. As long as they happen, I'm happy.
Yeah, one of the many peculiarities of the specialist finance market.
Exactly right. I don't think it's just specialist finance. I think it's finance as a whole. I think people just for some reason complete towards the end of a month or the end of a quarter. I can't explain it.
So looking at the short and medium term market then puts you in a relatively unique position, I suppose. So what kind of trends are you seeing at the moment from a business point of view?
There's a number of trends that I think we're spotting. The 2 key trends, I would say. Number 1, developers aren't selling units when they think they were going to, and developments are taking too long. So we're seeing a lot, and it's one of the reasons why our developer exit proposition has been so successful. A developer will go and they'll buy a piece of land, they'll get planning on it, they'll then go and construct a number of units, and with all the best will in the world, they'll think they can do it in 9 months or 12 months with another 3 to 6 month sales cycle. But then you have bad weather, or you have a delay in planning, or you have a delay in procuration, or you have something that goes wrong within the development, or just something that gets delayed. And then all of a sudden you get to the end of your agreed term with your development lender, and the screws start getting tightened, and your loan to value starts increasing, and the pressure starts coming on board. And we have a very unique solution for developers where we can step in almost at practical completion or at practical completion to give that developer multiple options. Number 1, we can give them the option that if they want to hold some of the units and let them, they can do so while trying to maybe sell some of the others. Okay. We can give them time to market and sell the properties on their deadline, or to their time scale, rather than a development lender who just wants to get their money back at the quickest point of time, or any combination of the 2 above. So we're happy to put it on our long-term buy-to-let proposition. Whatever works for the borrower, we'll try and work with them. More importantly, when they are selling, we cash flow the transaction to allow the borrower the maximum leverage out the door day one. So it's a pretty unique proposition in what do most developers want and what do most of them lack? They lack cash flow. And if you've got experienced house builders, like the small to medium house builders, they've typically got a couple of schemes on the go at any point in time. The holy grail for them is to be able to take some money off the table before all their units have sold. If we can see sales traction and we can see evidence that the units are liquid, we're very happy to allow them some of their profit out the door day one. Very unique in this space, and there's a reason why we've done over 100 million in the last 12 months on this alone. It's because of how we structure it. It's because of how we allow them the capability to market to their time frame, or indeed to let the properties and generate some cash flow, hold them for a couple of years while the market turns. So that's the first trend. Properties aren't selling quick enough, or they aren't being developed to the time frame that they thought.
Yeah.
The second key thing is in buy-to-let. with yields decreasing, and a lot of the low-hanging fruit, as Jonathan, my partner and CEO, called it when we were presenting over the past couple of months at the Specialist Lending Roadshow. A lot of people have already put, with the tax changes that came into place, have put people on 5-year fixes. There's not as many transactions happening in terms of purchases in the buy-to-let space because the accidental landlord is being priced out the game.
Yeah.
Yields aren't high enough and tax benefits aren't there. The guys that were there and are experienced players and who want to stay on have already taken 5-year fixes. So the number of buy-to-let transactions, I feel, is going to fall. And it's going to continue to fall because of all these 5-year fixes.
Yeah.
Yes, in 3 years and 4 years, they're going to come back because those 5-year fixes are going to come up for renewal. But a lot of that low-hanging fruit with the buy-to-let changes, tax changes, and the stress testing changes have already been implemented. So for brokers who focus purely on buy-to-let, they may have to explore other avenues. And for people with properties that aren't yielding high enough with stress testing changes, they have to look at that next layer on, and that's where we try and step into. We're not trying to compete with your specialist buy-to-let lenders. We're not trying to compete with the high street. We're trying to fill the void that exists between them and your ancillary lenders all the way on the other side.
Excellent. So if you were a broker at the moment, then where would you be particularly focusing?
On third generation. No, on a serious note, I would be looking for the areas and the trends specifically that I've spoken about, but also on auction purchases. Okay. I've seen more and more properties going into auction, more and more landlords that are saying, you know what, this doesn't work for me anymore, and I'm going to put the properties back out into the marketplace. So there are a number of people, and the auction houses are hotter than ever. So I would be focusing on the short-term space in the auction rooms, on the buy-to-let space, on low-yielding, on providing solutions for the low-yielding residential properties, or for the foreign nationals that are now coming in because the pound is dropping, and with Brexit, I haven't used that word yet in our discussions today, but with Brexit and with the potential pound decreasing, it's going to create a huge opportunity for foreign nationals. What you want to do as a broker is have a solution for when you have a foreign national come across your desk with a buy-to-let investment property, because all of a sudden what may not have been an attractive investment for them when it's £1.30, £1.40 to the dollar, at £1.10, £1.20, £1.25 even, becomes a very, very viable investment, because all of a sudden you've got that what's the word I'm looking for, the exchange rate benefit to them, where you've got an increase in value almost overnight just from the pound tanking. So there will be more and more foreign nationals coming in. You will need an alternative solution for your higher rate taxpayers who can't get the leverage they require. And we use an example in every presentation we do with the borrower buying a property looking for the highest maximum leverage, going to their broker says the maximum I can get you, despite the 75-80% product sheets that I've got, is 50-53%. And then the client typically says, well, what's my next bet? My next bet is an alternative ancillary lender like ourselves who's happy to take a different view and can lend based on 100% cover at a lower pay rate and try and make the deal work. So it's not always about price. No. You know, you need to have in your locker tools for your short-term investor, tools for your buy-to-let landlords that aren't fitting the high street, tools for your foreign nationals, and tools for your developers who aren't shifting stock.
We're seeing that the same way from Crystal. We're seeing brokers diversifying a lot more. Brokers that would traditionally just churn and burn vanilla buy-to-lets are now suddenly contacting us because they've got the overseas borrower or they've got the new build off-plan property they're looking to purchase. So yeah, I'd certainly second that. Brokers are now looking for ways to say yes rather than I'm too busy, I can't deal with it.
Correct.
And I think that will just continue as we get through the rest of the year.
I also think it's easier than ever with the specialist distributors that are there today for a broker who in the past just thought, I can't do this. But even if they don't have the expertise themselves, they've got the likes of Crystal who they can pass it across to. They've got the likes of these expert master brokers or packages that are able to provide the level of experience and quality and underwriting and conversion ratios to help them get something out of nothing.
Yeah. You mentioned the specialist lending roadshows and equivalents earlier. I think they're invaluable to brokers just for us to get the word out there.
Agreed.
Brokers need to have that education. They need to be able to spot the opportunities. Neither of us market direct to consumers, so for us it's about educating that broker that we're here, that we can help, and that there are solutions.
Correct. We completely agree with that. Same as you, we don't market directly to consumer. It's all about intermediaries. It's all about ensuring they know that we're very happy to hold their hand and work together to get an amicable solution.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier that you've been in the game, was it 15 years?
About that, yeah.
Yeah. So what still gets you out of bed in the morning?
I just love what I do. I love the fact that I've got the most amazing team. I love working with mates. Most of my brokers that I deal with become friends. I think if I ever woke up and had that, oh my God, that Monday morning feeling, I don't think I'd do it anymore. But I haven't had that for years. I love the fact that I'm in such an open, flat environment, such a flat structure within Octane as well. People push us every day. Our team push us every day. There's no such thing as we do it this way because that's the way we do it. We always push our guys to say, if there's a better way, tell us and let's change and let's evolve with it. And we're always looking to be innovative and unique, and be it in just the way we have fun with our football tournament, the way we treat our brokers, the way we treat our clients. We're in this for the long haul. We built a great business before, and we want to do that even better this time.
Excellent. And then finally, our traditional closing question. If you could make one change to the industry, what would you like to do and why?
If I could make one change, wow. That's a really difficult question because I actually love the industry we're in. I think the change I would make would be how lenders treat clients when loans are approaching the end of the term. There's too many people in our space, and it's been a bugbear of mine for many, many years now, that a loan gets close to the end of the term. There's no communication whatsoever with the lender and the borrower, or the lender and the broker. The loan hits that term end date, and the lender rubs their hands together in glee and goes, happy days, I'm now going to charge a 5% fee or a 3% fee, and I'm going to put them in default interest, and I'm now going to make my profits. We've never done that, and we never will. We will always work with the broker and the client to get the best possible solution and work together. Charging somebody silly extension fees and default interest just to boost your bottom line is opportunistic. And I think a lot of the people who do that, brokers will eventually get fed up of it, although I don't see it happening because we know of it happening and people keep going back. Our view is we work together. We work with an amicable solution. We try our best to get that client out within the term. If not, we have sensible conversations, but not the day before the loan is going beyond term. We start talking 3 months before, then 6 weeks, then 4 weeks. And ultimately, you work together to get the best possible outcome. So what would I change? I would change some of the processes at the back end.
So we're seeing a lot more interest in the heavy refurb side of things. Where do you sit on that?
Well, we love refurbs, and a lot of investors are turning to refurbs now to make deals work. So what do I mean by that? We've seen a huge uptick in existing landlords who've owned properties for years, been let out, no issues, fairly low leverage, that now it doesn't work. Why? Because of the tax changes I mentioned before. Yeah. So what do people like that do? They approach us and they say, I've now got planning to convert this 4-bedroom house into a 6-bedroom HMO, or this 5-bedroom house into 4 flats. And we love those deals. And why do we love them? Because the way we structure them, whether it's light refurb, heavy refurb, it's just a refurb, it's a conversion, whatever it might be. We provide up to 70% of the initial value of the property, 99 times out of 100 for an existing landlord, that repays the existing debt and provides the first tranche of works to start the refurbishment. We then fund the balance of the works up to 100% in arrears, and then at the end of the refurbishment can automatically flip it onto the balance onto a buy-to-let, or indeed they can go to your specialist lenders like Precise and Interpay and whoever else, and take us out with a normal buy-to-let mortgage. So we're seeing a lot more of these conversions from a house into flats, a house into HMO, to try and go with the flow. Yeah. Tax changes, everything else, this gives them that second go.
Yeah. And as you mentioned earlier, it's about finding the right outcome for the client.
Right. Absolutely right.
Yeah. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today. I'm sure there's a lot of valuable insight there for the brokers that are listening. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.
To hear the rest of the series and be notified first of future episodes, hit subscribe. And to discuss any of the topics covered in today's CrystalCast or any other specialist finance requirements, call us on 01827 301070 or visit our website at www.crystalsf.com. Thank you to today's guests, and as always, thank you for listening.